Hi everyone, and welcome to this version 0.9 tutorial of Grid Singularities D3A. We just made this release in anticipation of our upcoming Odyssey Momentum Hackathon, which is November 13th through 15th. And the biggest aspect of this release is the Market API. And we're actually going to make a separate tutorial video to go over the Market API in detail. But just to give you a quick overview, users can register to markets inside collaborations, and then they can connect to the Market API in order to change the grid fees in that market. And then they also receive other details surrounding the trades in the market. And to read more about this, you can go to our wiki, Market API, and we have some documentation here on how the Market API works. And then these are the different metrics that are shared through the API. But we'll make a separate video on that and show you a demo of the Market API working. So for the rest of this release, we just added some smaller features, and I'm going to go through them quickly so that you have an update on the features in the D3A. So the first is just the easier registration process. So here I'm acting as the exchange operator, and so when I accept applicants, and it's the same if you're applying, you have to click apply to these different asset devices and markets, and then you just click at the top to submit your applications or your approvals if you're the exchange operator. So we added this for a smoother application process, and then the user will receive just one email showing them all of the devices and markets that they're connected to. The other things we added are in relation to the grid fees. So in this example, I have a community of 5 homes, and I have 4 cents grid fee set in the community. And now when I run the simulation, we can see that we basically add the grid fees to the energy pricing graph. So as I scroll down, we have to let this run a little bit more. We have a new line called grid fee. So we plot the grid fee in each market on the graph. And if the grid fee changes during the simulation via an event, then we can see it change here. The other thing we added is we also included the grid fees in the scoreboard. So you can see in the energy bills for the community, it's calculating the total grid fees that are being paid so far, but that's just in this community market. And then we added to the scoreboard at the bottom total grid fees. So this is the total grid fees that are being paid in all the markets in the collaboration. And this is mostly to the interest of grid operators or entities that perhaps own all of the markets here, and so they want to know their total income. So this is just a small thing, but we're working on expanding our KPIs for different user types and to consider the different user roles. So if someone is operating a market, they're more interested in their revenue statistics versus someone who is maybe a homeowner, and they are more interested in the statistics related to their home energy use and their home energy bill. Another thing related to the grid fees that we added is we made an update to the template load and PV strategy. So in this case, in our template strategy, we set the market maker rate, so it has a selling rate of 30 cents, and then the load, it's guaranteed to buy up to the market maker rate, up to this 30 cents. But what we realized is if we add grid fees like we did in this community market, then the load wouldn't have been able to be guaranteed to buy from the market maker with our template strategy. So we updated the strategy so that when it's at the setting market maker rate, that includes all the grid fees this load would have to pay in order to buy from the market maker. So that helps when users set grid fees to their simulations and they're using the template strategies, their loads and PVs should still be buying and selling to each other without having to change something in the strategy. So it's just something that makes it a little bit easier for rapid prototyping of simulations. And then there's only two more features we added. We increased the number of parallel running simulations to 3. It was 2 before, so now you can run 3 simulations at the same time. And then we added one more calculation on the results page, and that is the net energy. So for example, when we look at the community energy trade profile, what we realized is we have this peak analysis function, and it allows us to see the total the total peak imports and exports throughout the different days. And so what we notice is that in some cases, especially if you're not using the template strategies, you might have homes inside the community that are actually importing and exporting energy at the same time. And so then when we had this peak analysis function, it was hard for us to tell what the actual energy flow peak was. So we added another parameter here called the net energy. And so this calculates the actual net energy flow. And in this case, it's the same as the trades because we don't have any imports and exports happening at the same time. But the net energy calculates the external trades as the net. So then we know what the cumulative energy flow is. And so then based off that, we calculate what the current peak imports and exports are. And then, if we can compare to the baseline, we know the energy peak percentage. And then we can also plot the transformer capacity here. So this is a KPI that is geared more towards grid operators and maybe also researchers that want to look at how changing different aspects in the simulation affect the peaks and who are particularly concerned with the net energy. So we can activate that here in the peak analysis tool, and then outside the tool, we can also click to view the peak energy. Great, so that sums it up for this tutorial. We'll have more tutorials coming your way, and as always, thanks a lot for your interest and support.